It's another part of discipline, is holding yourself accountable. And accountability is thrown around in the corporate world, and a lot of people can have a bad or a negative connotation to it. But the reality is that with accountability comes great power, because when you're accountable to yourself, what you've done is you've taken the power in to realise that you are in charge. So you take the power to be in charge of your decisions. And that accountability is great in the sense that you know that you can make better decisions, and you know that you can get more out of yourself. And when you realise that power and you start to take charge of it, you can then build that into your structure, which is part of your discipline. So not only do you have the goals, not only do you have the measure of consistency, not only do you have the new habits, but you're also taking the power, knowing that you're accountable to you. And this, I reckon, takes as little as 21 days to see the results. So that's all it takes, 3 little weeks to, if you stick at it, by 21 days in, you will have rewired and hardwired these habits into your life, and that you will not be the old version, you will be the new and improved version. Part of the thing that changes as well is that your identity changes. So who you see yourself as. An example would be that if you've ever seen someone that's done the couch to 5K, where they're out of shape, they've not done much, and they're looking to start a regime to go out and run, and that running will be with the view that they want to start to get a level of fitness that they can build up over time to the point where they can achieve a 5K. What happens in this situation is that your identity is that you're still you, but you've got a goal, and you work towards that goal. But when you get to the 5K, a lot of people never ever put their running trainers on past that, because they then realise that, hey, look, that's it finished. That's mission accomplished. That's it been achieved. When you start to add habits into your life, you change your identity, because instead of just achieving that goal, you become a runner. So you go from someone that's running for a goal to then someone that in their life as their identity is someone that runs. That means that beyond the event, you get to keep that identity as yours, and that then starts to become part of you. And when you do these things, like such things as physical activity, you get these endorphins that help feed that positive loop within yourself. And when you start to lay out your life, you start to realise, right, okay, I've become a little bit more disciplined, I became a little bit fitter, I've developed these new habits, and then I've improved in this area. Now you start to go, well, what else could I do? Where else could I apply this in life? And then, just like I had 14 on my list, so I had 14 items that I wanted to institute into my life. And with those 14 items, they measured the things that would make a material difference to my results, and also a material difference to myself and how I seen myself. And I knew that if I instituted these in my life, that my life would change. And I had 4 years worth of data, and I explain on the Mindset Coaching Group where I thought I was much more consistent than I actually was. So I would have said, I'd go to the gym and I train this hard and I do this and I do that. And then it wasn't until I'd had it down, tracked on the spreadsheet, which in itself is not sexy, not glamorous. A lot of these things that you do to become really, really good at something are anything but sexy and glamorous. So the reality is that I had to track this thing that I didn't really want to track it. It was a bit of a burden. It was a bit of a task, but hey, I tracked it out. When I tracked it out, I seen that I could see where the gaps were, because I seen that I thought it was much more consistent than it actually was. And that's the power of tracking this information. And if you commit to doing the menial tasks, the hard things, right, the things not necessarily hard as in that they're difficult, but hard as in that you don't really want to do them, or you could think of 100 other things to do, but they make meaningful change should you stick to them, then that's a real superpower that you can deploy if you can go over that resistance, because there's so much draw on your attention. You know, there's social media and YouTube and all the potential videos that you could want to watch. There's shorts, there's reels, there's people's stories, what people are up to, there's news, there's TV, there's reality TV shows. So there's much more captivating things to do out there than track how your habits are. Look, I get it, but if you want to tap into your potential and you're prepared to put some of this into action, you will unlock potential in you beyond your wildest dreams. And that's really what we want to get to. We want to get to that point where that becomes what you want to be. You look at your life and you say, hey, look, this is the old me, this is the new me that I want to strive to, and I'm prepared to make the move and bridge the gap between the old to the new. I understand it's a battle and I understand it's a war, and I am ready to go to war. And one last thing I would say is, if you improve yourself, don't think that this is limited to yourself. And I'll give you an example of this, is that when you start to improve, that will spill into other people in your life. People will see things that you do and they'll be like, how are you doing that? And an example would be my son George, he goes out and plays football with his football team. I'll go along to the training and his games, and before he's training in his game, you know, I'll go through some mental training where I'll reinforce the things that he's going to do. I'll reinforce and suggest the things that he's going to notice. I'll go through this little sort of mindset programming to make him ready to go out mentally and make sure that he's at the top of his game. And then before we start, we'll make a point of arriving early and I'll warm up with him. So you can think about it, like, there's not too many parents that will go and do that. You know, parents are busy, they've got loads of things on, they've maybe just finished work. You know, why would they want to go and sort of run about a park with their kids? So I make a point of it, stick my trainers on, and we'll warm up in the pitch. And it's small things like we'll do some push-ups, we'll do some burpees, we'll do some split lunge squats, we'll do some double leg squats, then we'll run up and down the pitch again. And it's getting that blood flowing, but also not just the lower parts of the body, but the upper parts of the body, because you need physical strength. And now seeing Georgie's teammates are seeing that, and they are now wanting to train because they're being inspired by his discipline. And his discipline comes from seeing other people that are disciplined. And when I'm going along and George is seeing me disciplined and he's ultra disciplined, he's an incredible picture of discipline. He gets up early by himself. He trains early by himself. He's decided not to eat junk by himself, right? He makes sure that he's watching all the stuff that's out there that's reinforcing why it's great to have this structure and discipline and pushing himself. And when we go to when we went to the football training, the trainings around an athletic, the football pitch is in the middle of an athletics track. So the other evening there was the athletics guys are out training, running around the track. George and his team are in training in the pitch. And I decided, you know, I've got my running trainers on, I'll just do some laps around the track whilst I'm waiting, and ended up having to take my hoodie off because it was a bit warm, so ran around a couple of laps. And there's youngsters there that are you know, doing their athletics training, and I don't know if they knew that I could hear them, but they were shouting like, "Here's this sort of big muscly bodybuilder, you know, do you think he'll make it one lap round the track?" You know, and I've went round another 3 times round the track, and they were in disbelief because like, "There he's doing another lap," you know, and they didn't think it was possible for someone that, you know, was heavier and more muscular to do endurance stuff. And I didn't think that Georgie's team at all were paying attention to where I was in the track. But when I'd finished, George had said, you know, one of the guys that he plays with was like, "I can't believe your dad's got the stamina to go and run. That's him doing another lap round there." Now, I wasn't doing a particularly fast lap and I wasn't running particularly hard, but it shows that you being at your best, or you doing the little things, can inspire others, because they are seeing that they have these perceived limits on people that when someone does something that they didn't think was possible, they're encouraged, they're inspired by that. And then they look to themselves at what else is possible for them. And that's the whole thing, is if you can do a little thing that it might not mean a lot to you, but go out and inspire somebody, and particularly the youth, because they're so impressionable, right? And they need heroes, they need people to look up to. And those people that they look up to are the people that are prepared to do the little things, right? And I think that the world where it's at just now could do with a little bit more of that. And it might be something as simple as just running a few laps around the track, or arriving early with your kid to go and train. But it comes from you.